Good evening, everybody. It's a beautiful Monday, and we are welcoming you to the Light Gate. We're coming to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans in Louisiana at the United Public Radio Network at 107.7 FM and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 FM. We are on Facebook, we're on Roku, we're on Rumble, and we are on YouTube. We have a really great show with somebody that we love dearly, and I can't wait to get going. Real quick, I'm going to say this real quick. Hi, Carnation. We love you. They are our sponsor for our network, and we just want to say how great they are for helping us with our network. And y'all need to go out and try this, especially during Christmas time. Oh, the pies you can make. Okay, well, let's get going. And Ella, shut up.
Okay. Ella wants to be on the show, so I'm not going to fight Ella. She rules the house. Okay, thank you everyone for joining us tonight on episode 85, can you believe it, of The Light Gate. I'm your host, Preston Dennett. My lovely co-host is Dolly Safran. So thank you very much for joining us. We're very excited about our guest tonight, our returning guest, Debz Shakti. She's an amazing person, one of my favorite people here on this planet and off of it. But before we bring her on, I just want to say a quick hello to all you folks in chat. We love you so much. It's because of you we do this show. It's because of you that Monday is that much more fun. So thank you so much for joining us on the Light Gate. And let's see, who do we have here? Because it looks like we've got a pretty good crowd already. Okay, Teresa Lavigne is the first one in. Hi, Teresa. Thank you for joining us. Oh, Ella, this cat. We have Ruth Kleiber.
Hi, Ruth.
Saying hello. And Ella is demanding my attention, so please pardon me. Who else do we got here? We have Adrian Unleashed. Hello, fellow ETs.
Hello.
Yes, I think we are all ETs, actually. We have Michael Kennedy, who is bringing the popcorn as usual. And for real.
Kylie, yeah. Kylie.
And we have, who else? Let me see. I already said hello to you, Ruth. We have Ancient Mysteries Art, Lightgate, and art session kind of night. Awesome.
Oh, very good.
We have Scuba Maru. Thank you, Scuba. We have Olivia. Good evening and blessings all. Looking forward always to tonight's discussion. Yes, me too. Debz always brings it. She's a true pro. And Raul Melendez. Hello, Dolly and Preston. So happy to be with you tonight and very excited. Thank you, Raul. We truly appreciate your generosity. Much blessings and love to you. And thank you for being here. That's awesome. We have Neural Channels. Can we hear more about the alien book? Maybe. Dolly did see an alien book, as many contactees have. I have to ask Debz about that. I wonder if she's had that experience. Maybe
I have an alien book. It's not here right now, but yeah, I have one. Yeah.
Yes, we all do, right?
Yes, everybody has one. Yeah.
It's up in the Akashic Library if you want to check it out. Okay, namaste. Thank you so much, namaste. You know how much we love you, but it's worth repeating. We love you. Thank you so much. You're a beautiful person. Hi, Dana. Thank you for joining us. We have Fab22. Hi, Fab. Hope you're doing well. Always awesome to see you here. Very cool. I know who you are. We have Louise, all the way from New Jersey, saying greetings to us and fellow chatters. We have Sunny Burnett with lots of cute little emojis. Thank you, Sunny. We have Larry Hank. I just got Preston's book, Wild Speculation. A really good read. Oh, thank you, Larry. That's science fiction. For those of you who are interested in science fiction, I put out a collection of my own stories, a couple of award-winning ones, all vetted by previous magazines, except one, which is totally original. So if you like science fiction, check it out. I'm super proud of that book. I'm going to put out another. So thank you, Larry. I appreciate that more than you know. Believe me. Okay, we have Peak. Happy Lightgate Monday. Oh.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Debz. Hey, and Louise. Thank you so much, Louise.
Thank you. Thank you.
Truly appreciate it. It goes a long way, your donations, you guys. Thank you so much. I mean, it really means a lot and helps us more than you know. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We have T-Bone. We have Harry Carey. We have, hoping we will also address the topic on the not so positive side of hypnotic regression. I will put a little star on that so we can talk about that, come back to it. We have Janie Mashburn. Hello, Dolly. And hello.
Hi, Janie.
We have Michael Grant from North Carolina.
Oh my
Harry,
goodness.
thank you so much.
Thank
Truly
you.
appreciate it. Your generosity is absolutely appreciated. Thank you. Kitty, you're going to get kicked out of the show. Okay, who do we have else here? Let's see. Yeah, well, Debz Shakti, she's our guest. She's also very cool, Debz. Glad you figured that out. We have Leah. We have Greg Michael. We have space with us. How cool is that? Always more space for space. We have Team Ginger all the way from Michigan. We have Brian Morgan saying, bleep, it's the best live stream on the net. We're not supposed to swear on the air, but I had to put that out there. Kitty, you're this close to getting on the show. Okay. Mary Lair, hello. We have all kinds of people here. Oh my goodness. Please forgive me if I skip you. Christopher Harmon. We have Jay Truthseeker. We have Mr. Maradika. All right. Hi, Ella from Durham.
Oh, now you got to show her. Show him, Ella.
I did. Oh, whoops, she's not happy. Okay, I'm putting you down, okay? Sorry, guys. Can't ignore Ella. She goes crazy.
She's
Yoga.
A diva. Yeah.
Yoga with Denise. Hi from New York. We have Samantha Shaw. I'm actually on time for once. Oh, yay. Welcome, Samantha. We have CT Guitar Guy. Love you both. Oh, always happy to be here with you. Well, we're so glad you could join us, CT Guitar Guy. Thank you, thank you. I love Mondays. I always get a little nervous before the shows, but once we get started, it's so much fun. And Debz, our guest, makes it so easy. Just waiting there very patiently in the green room. I'm getting there, Debz. One more minute, please. Give me one more minute. I'm already late. Bigfoot, Littlefoot. Hello. We got Katie. We got Flea Market Gold. We have Cheval Noir. I know that means something. Black horse?
Cheval.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Maybe we'll have to tell me Cheval Noir. But I know that noir is black. We have Vikalicious, all the way from Australia. We have Audrey Miller. We have Rusty Grunert. We've got a lot of you guys. Fun Talks TV. We got In My Opinion. Brian W. Oh, In My Opinion. God,
Thank you.
Generous. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I really better get started or I will get in trouble. T-Bone, Belcher, thank you. Freckled Jules, Laura Rosenfeld, all the way from Toronto. Yay.
Nice.
Enlightened Executive. Black Horse it is. I was right. Hey, all those years in French finally paid off. I knew they would come in use one day. All right, I better get started. Thumper Squid. I love that. Okay.
Cool.
Cheval Noir. Yes, Dark Horse. I have a story for you sometime. Very cool. Ella has an ET experience she wants to tell us. Okay. No, I'm seriously in trouble. I'm going to...
Ella's actually seen ET. She's been on board with me. Actually has. She's going on 15. Yeah. She's 15. She's sat in my lap a few times. Yep.
All right.
I told you she's a diva.
Okay. Well, without further ado, let me bring on our next guest. But before I do, let me tell you a little bit about Debz. She has been on the show, I think twice, maybe 3 times before. We love her each and every time. She's hugely popular. We're so honored to have her back. For those of you who don't know about her, let me just tell you a little bit. She's quite accomplished. She is, of course, an experiencer. She's trained in QHT hypnotherapy. She's an accomplished podcaster, a channeler. That is so interesting. Researcher, producer, psychic, very good. Got lots of testimonials to that. Author as well. She was part of the movie with John Yost, RIP. We love John Yost. Alien Abduction Answers. And she can talk about a wide variety of subjects. She offers many services: quantum hypnotherapy. She's an open channel, does other services including ET contact, paranormal experience counseling, energy alchemy, psychic readings. She hosts a long-standing local CE5 contact and consciousness group and is an active member of several CE5 contact teams. She leads retreats, researches the infinite nature of consciousness. We'll probably be talking quite a bit about consciousness tonight because that is a subject that is endless. And yeah, the associate producer of the award-winning film Alien Abduction Answers. I mean, I could go on, but I really want to get right on to the show. So I'm going to just bring you on, Debz. The full bio is in the notes, as well as all kinds of wonderful links to Debz's project.
Thank you, guys. My gosh. It's just always such an honor to be on this show and to be with, get to visit with you too, and all of the listeners. There's just so many listeners. It's wonderful. So thank you for having me again.
No, wait a second. Is that a new background, or is that the same one before?
No, this is new. I'm like really big into creating art now again. So my little art heart is starting to pump again. And yeah, so this is sometimes what I see when I go into that, what I call the sweet spot of meditation, where I get that, where I just go into the quantum field, the mind of God, whatever you want to call it. So that's what I see. I'll get out of the way and.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
Yeah. Yeah. And I usually go right down in that kind of wormhole, if you will, and it just keeps growing and pulsing. It's a wonderful thing. Oh. So yeah, it's fun to create.
It reminds me of out-of-body experiences because the colors on the other side are so incredibly vivid.
Aren't they? I mean, they're colors that we just don't see here. Even this is just as bright as it is. It's just, it just is so dull compared, so, but thank you for noticing.
Yeah, it's beautiful. All right. So I know there's probably a few new people here who haven't seen your previous episodes. So maybe you could just talk a tiny little bit about your journey, who you are, and how you got to here.
Okay,
there's a lot to tell, I know.
Yeah, there is. But I'm an old girl, so I've had a lot of time to pack a lot of fun things into this life. But I actually came in, with most of my psi gifts turned on. I've been able to see and perceive and manipulate energy and do energy healing work. I have been an experiencer since earliest memory, and I'm talking about now infancy, experiencer of just about any kind of form of non-local consciousness you could imagine, mostly ET, but then also angelic, celestial, ultra-terrestrial, even things, especially when I was a child, fairies and things like that. And of course, people who've crossed over. So, and I just believe that we are all part of the same consciousness, and we're just different facets existing on different frequencies, and that's what makes us all so unique. But anyway, these experiences have not just been, in the mind or telepathic. A lot of them have been, but many of them very physical. And I, like Dolly, I've traveled with them and even, flown some ships and had some great experiences there. I also grew up with a very scientific curiosity, and so I've always studied science. I got into the science of clinical psychology and learned how to do clinical hypnosis and therapy back in the day, back in the 70s, and then decided to put everything that I do into one big menu of services that I offer people, so that I'm not just sticking with one little thing. I feel like it should be comprehensive. So energy work, channeling. The main group that I channel, for the most part, is we call them the star teachers or the teachers. They say they don't have a label because they've evolved past that egoic need for a label. But they say that they, like all other forms of consciousness, are us on a different frequency, but they are us having evolved to a much higher frequency past the negative kind of dualistic karmic pattern construct that we are on now, right? So, but they also say, and this has been their message for years and years, and I think we're coming up on it. I'm starting to feel it with all the changes that are happening. They say this lifetime, this timeline right here, all of you who are alive and listening right now, this is the one where we make that jump, where we start to make that jump, where humankind, for the most part, comes together, probably, not for sure, but probably because of some kind of shocking or cataclysmic, near cataclysmic event. And we have two choices. We can either all freak out and fight about what we should be doing about it and resist it, or we can all come together and start to work together using each other's gifts in a positive and harmonious way, which is how most of the cosmos likes to live anyway. Yeah, so that's their big message.
Planet, so
yeah, exactly.
Very popular. I think we're more populated than we've ever been on this planet.
Absolutely, and we've heard other people say this many times. Dolores Cannon is famous for saying they're all gathering around us right now because we are the greatest show in this galaxy or this universe right now, because we are about ready to birth the new human. So the teachers always are available, in my sessions and everything. But basically, whoever wants to come through can come through, and we have some really good experiences with, ancestors or relatives or, archetypes, ascended masters. So it always makes it fun. But really, the message is always the same. It's time to move forward. It's time to grow up. It's time to work from a place of love together. So that's the big deal. And then, of course, I still do energy work and about 1,000 other things, but that'll do for now. You did mention I was the associate producer, and I was part of the movie Alien Abduction Answers as the quantum hypnotherapist that helped John Yost, the star, kind of open up his memories and everything. And I'm happy to say that I've been working on several different projects. Some I can't talk about at all, but I am getting involved in what we think will be an 8-part docuseries about experiencers. Experiencers, that's it. And not just the old dogs like me that you're used to. We're going to start talking to young people and get their take on this, and then we'll be working with them. I'll be working with them and helping them, get more information out of their experiences and kind of move forward with that. So I'm real excited about that one. But yeah, I'm an award-winning martial artist, multi-martial artist like Dolly. I've been an athlete all my life, and I'm a mom and a grandma and a wife, a really red-hot rock star guitar player.
Really?
And I have
wow.
I have a giant 150-pound baby thinks it's a cat, but it's a dog. So he's probably going to burst through any minute like Ella and start snoring, which then you'll know he's in the room. Anyway, that's kind of it in a nutshell. I love life. I've been a lifelong yogi and a yoga teacher, and a meditation teacher, and I teach breath work and that kind of stuff. And that's the kind of stuff that I bring through at retreats and conferences and so forth. And of course, what people kind of generically call CE5 now, but contact work, of course, is my true love. So
very cool. Well, keep asking those questions, guys. We'll get to them. We love questions.
Yeah.
I was looking at your website, by the way, before the show. It's very well put together, very exciting. Lots of stuff on there. Highly recommend you guys check it out. The links are in the show description. And we also put in some new links for some of your new projects.
Thanks.
We want people to check out.
Thank you.
After the show.
That website is 100% done by me, and it needs constant updating. It needs updating badly right now, but it does have the things on it that people really need to see. And I will say, for new people, there's a media section there, and there are literally hundreds of videos in there that you can look at. That are, some are interviews, a lot are workshops that I've done in the past that you can use, and tutorials. So just check that out if you want to, some free services. That's a really good place to start.
So you have all these amazing things you've done. And I may have asked you this before, but I'm just curious, and I'm sure our listeners are. When you're a little girl and you're thinking about, what do I want to be when I grow up? Was this what you were thinking?
Absolutely not. I had two things I wanted to do when I was a little girl. I always had a tremendous love of animals, and I do, I've always been able to communicate with animals, sometimes way better than with people. So I decided I wanted to be a veterinarian. But at age 13, I had to help put down one of my dogs because he got hit by a bus, and everybody was scared of him because, again, another giant dog. He was gentle as could be, but nobody wanted to do that. So that was kind of traumatic. And I thought, you know what? I don't think I want to be a veterinarian. The other thing I wanted to be was an archaeologist, because I was so intrigued by ancient civilizations and the secrets that they had. Even as a small child, I recognized when I would, I grew up with Encyclopedia Britannica, in my living room.
Oh, yeah.
Look at all these pictures of, the hieroglyphs in ancient Egypt and cave paintings and everything. And I'd say, well, that looks like my friends who I'm visiting with now. That looks like those symbols look like the symbols they keep pouring through the middle of my forehead at night, when I'm trying to sleep. So I wanted to put that together. I'm like, how do we bridge? When I finally realized there were two separate worlds, not really, but that's our concept. I thought everybody had these experiences, by the way, till I went to school, and then, oh my, no. But I thought that archaeology would really help me understand that. And then, I just got really into sciences and everything. And so archaeology kind of got put on the back burner. Now it's still, like, maybe more than ever before, a huge passion of mine. So I like to hang out with some of those guys.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I know. Have you ever gone to any of the sites? Like I used to I've been to South America. I've gone to stuff over there, and there are things in this country that I've seen that are interesting, especially Native Americans and stuff. And I've studied. Oh God, I used to spend hours and hours in the library in the University of Miami because my dad was doing a side job over there. And I went straight for the reference material and went through everything archaeological I could find. And oh man, if I could travel, I would. Honestly.
Same. Yeah. I mean, I really only the continental United States and Mexico so far, and then Hawaii, which is not continental United States, but I have not been overseas yet to do that. I'm hoping that I can. I have a lot of friends who do the work and who are also into all this stuff. So we're starting to see a blending of these two arenas, which I think is really interesting. Yeah. You look at all the shows on like Gaia and what's the other channel? The History Channel. Yeah. All these people, Graham Hancock, and now Scott Walter, Haley Ramsey, just a lot of people are starting to do this work and come up with, wow, these puzzle pieces from hundreds of thousands of years ago, maybe even. So it's incredibly interesting to me. So anyway, but the carvings and the drawings, they're depicting some of the people I know, like they showed up for them too. So.
Right. That's right. My contact is old and goes way back. And I didn't realize it until I was a teenager, later, almost an adult, that he actually was participating all the way back then. And
Yes.
it freaked me out. I was like, oh my, now
No, it's a little shocking at first.
Yeah.
Yeah. I realized that with the star teachers. I always knew that I had guides, and especially with the healing work and with the just, gleaning information for people, the channeling. But I never had a name or anything. And then one day they literally physically showed up in a very important, a very dire situation where a woman came to me with absolutely terminal condition of cancer. And she was healed. And they were physical, and she saw them, not just me. And then after that, they became very prevalent in my life. And eventually, I had to ask, do you have a name? Because people kept saying, who are you talking to? Who is that who's doing this work? And they said, well, we don't have one, but you can call us the star teachers or the teachers if you like. But basically, we're you on another level. We're you in the future. If they like to call us their future ancestors, which I love. So, yeah. So it's interesting. But
so I just did a show on The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche, where we were talking
neat.
about elves and fairies and
Love
such.
it.
And I'm curious because you mentioned fairies.
Mm-hmm.
Dolly had a fairy encounter as a young girl. Have you?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, I did. I may have had it before this time, but it was a very pivotal time for me. When I was 9, my dad, who was military, moved us from Southern California to South Central Georgia, to Warner Robins Air Force Base.
What
and
year? What year?
Was, let's see, oh God, Dolly, now you're making me do the math. About 65 or so, 64, 65.
Oh.
And so when we were there, and on some of your other shows, I've told about that huge mothership that showed up for my brother and I out in the forest, and that's where we started going to the secret school and everything. But which should have been enough for a lifetime of experience. But also because I had grown up before that in and near LA, where our backyards were the size of a postage stamp, and there were no woods unless we went camping. Suddenly I'm out in this place where there's just 60 miles of pine forest behind my house. So we played in the woods the whole, whenever we could. And out there were fairies and maybe elves, gnomes, I don't know, because they all had different features, but the fairies were the ones that fly, right? And
they have
so, but when I first saw them, I thought they were dragonflies, but then I realized they had faces and they had little, they actually had clothing, and they spoke. They spoke in human language, but they also spoke in a language that I never could describe to anybody. But now when I'm thinking about it, it sounds a bit like a very high-pitched Gaelic, right?
Exactly. Thank you for saying that, because
really?
Same thing.
Is that your experience too?
In other words, I know I can sing in Gaelic, and when I had my conversation with my little fairy, she was using Gaelic words, and I knew what she was saying, and I was like, "Oh my God!" And I thought, "How is that possible?"
Yeah.
And I was trying so hard to keep her in one spot. You have no idea. It did not work. But I tracked it. I had a little Juliet radio, and I listened to it when I was out doing chores. And Jethro Tull was playing Minstrel in the Gallery, and I was dancing to it. And she went, like that. And I looked down, and I'm thinking, is that a dragonfly making that noise? I thought the same thing. And she's laying back with her legs crossed, looking at me, going, trying to sing to the song.
Sing to the song,
I stopped dead in my tracks. I was flabbergasted and didn't know what to say for a minute or two. I was just like jaw on the ground, glasses breaking around my head, and I'm thinking, this is real. She's real, and she had clothes on and everything. And when the song was over, she started talking to me, and I'm thinking, wow. And
I know.
I was going to offer her food. I was going to make her clothes. I mean, I was trying to think of anything to have a relationship with this fairy. I'm not kidding you. And she said she might see me again someday. But we had our conversation, and I turned for a second to get something. I was going to hand it to her. She was gone that fast. And I thought, wow. And I've been looking for her ever since.
She'll show up again, or another one.
Yeah, stories are more common than most people because people don't talk about it. I think there's even more skepticism towards the little people of all cultures, even though it goes way, way back than there is maybe even of ETs.
Back to the beginning.
Here's Groucho. He had an encounter with a high-pitched gnome-like being.
Yeah. I have a dear friend who was afraid to tell people, even those of us who are best friends, that she was having gnome encounters. She lives out next to a big woods up in Wisconsin, but she was photographing, and they're not clear like in the gnome book, colorful pictures, but they're shadowy. But I'll be darned if they are not gnomes with those hats and the beards and I mean, they're as real as anything else,
They follow
about that. And I'm thinking, gosh, are there little gnome villages on the other, in the fourth dimension? Who's making these clothes? That's what I keep thinking. I'm like, these little belts and these hats.
All these beings have their own civilizations and their own frequencies, and they just pop in and out, like Sasquatch or the Janu, just like all of them. Beings we don't even know what to call, but yeah, the wee folk, as my ancestors used to call them, they go way back to prehistory, and they weren't always like the cute Tinkerbell kind of creatures. They were, sometimes they were, the people were scared of them and everything, because it just depends on the lore. Just like people these days, there are half people are like, oh, I love ETs, I wish they would come and save us, and then there's the other ones that's like, well, there's going to be an invasion any day now, and they're a threat to national security, and they're going to steal your children, or they're going to steal your eggs, or your, whatever. And so, and you and I have talked about this before, you guys, is that all these different types of beings are just as unique and just as diverse as we are as humans.
Sure, absolutely.
So you're going to run into really high level ones and really kind of, low level ones. But here's the key. It depends on where you are in your own feeling state, in your own vibrational state, and what your belief systems are too. So if you want to have a really great experience, then I suggest staying joyful, staying loving, playful, and
right. Don't threaten them or force them away from where they want to be. That happens in Florida. There's a place in Florida where Sasquatch are known, to be a little bit aggressive, and it's just above the skunk apes. And people have wondered why they're so aggressive. But you have to understand the history of Florida and the history of what these people are talking about. And they did go after them. They were trying to grab them and things like that. And it made them mad. And so they're not real welcoming to the.
They don't want their children to be harmed. I mean, they're just like us,
Right. Exactly.
We were the aliens invading at that point, right? Just kind of like, our ancestors, at least, some of us were the aliens invading the people who lived here for, eons before us. The colonizers.
Well, you said something that was really interesting to me. It's like, it depends what level you're at or where you are at. Because I heard this story once about, 5 different people walking into a forest. One was a lumberjack. All he saw was dollar signs. He's like, wow, look at all this. This is money for me. Another was a very timid city person who's like, this is dangerous. I'm going to die. There's wild creatures there. So everyone, depending on their own belief system, saw something completely different. And I suspect that these little wee folk are there all the time. And then people can walk right by them and never see them because they're not even not
in their perceptual range. There's that old story about the indigenous people in South America and in Mexico, and when the conquistadors came over, or whoever in their ships, the shaman would see them and say, "Look out there, look what's coming," and the natives couldn't see it because they were in a kind of a lower vibrational state and they couldn't perceive it. But the way they were able to perceive it was when they were, charging off the ships with their spears and what have you to conquer them. Then they saw them. But
yeah, I bet they did.
Yeah. So I do this work with my clients and students a lot. I'm just like, let's raise our vibrational state to one of how you would love the world or the universe to be, like your highest notion. And how would that feel? How would it feel? And feel it in your body and like envision it and give it all the sensory information. And then we go out, or we do this when we're in circle, for instance, doing CE5. And then we have these experiences, and they're really high vibe experiences,
We're dimensional beings, okay? And your brain actually perceived that, given half the chance to organize for it, you're brought up with it. It's a natural ability for you. You automatically realize that we've got 12 dimensions on top of us, and we're not the only ones in it. In this dimension, third dimension, there's still others, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and on up, and they're all around us. If they're in your vicinity, they see you, they can hear you, they know you're there, and even if you don't. And it's weird. I tried to get somebody to see that they were learning to meditate, and person to come up and see what I can see, because I live in a dimensional state. I see so much, right? And it took a while. It took like almost bloody 2 months to get her. It was my friend, and she finally went into shock. She said, "Okay, they're there. You're right. They're there. I see them. Oh my God." And it freaked her out. And she said, "I don't know if I can deal with this on a daily basis." I said, "Well, if you don't want to, don't. But the fact that you can ought to give you some ideas on how you're going to comport yourself for the rest of your life."
Exactly.
And that's the point.
That's so wise. That is the whole point, isn't it?
Yes.
We want to always strive to get higher and higher and more refined and pure and aligned with divine consciousness, right?
Yep.
Because those are the folk we want to hang out with.
What's amazing is children are kind of already there. I've
They are
interviewed
there.
a lot of people, and many of them were young children when they see ghosts. There was one case where this little girl was in an apartment with a bunch of adults, and she's like, the man. Everyone's looking at the doorway, like, there's no man there. Another case involving two kids, brother and sister, who saw their dead aunt sitting in the chair. They're like, "Mommy." Their parents came running in. They're like, "What?" Like, "There's aunt, whatever her name was." And they looked, "There's no one there, honey." Both the kids could see this aunt. Parents could not see them. So kids
they do. They have their periscope is much wider, right? It brings in a lot more light.
Yeah.
Right. They haven't had it adulterated by the world.
Right.
And I think I've told you guys before, but when I was a small child, I lived multidimensionally. I literally had a whole other family that was overlaid mine, and no one else could see that. They just thought I was highly creative, imaginative child, but they were real. And
I know.
So when we go, fast forward 20 some years, I start studying quantum physics. It explains it so perfectly. Everything is made of the same energy. Energy can neither be created or destroyed. It all exists, all of it, in one place, forever, all at once, but in different vibrational iterations. So there are infinite iterations of you, of me, of, Bigfoot, of, Jesus, of, all of these different layers of universes.
We see it
every once in a while. They bleed through if you're resonant with that frequency.
Yeah, we live in the third dimension. It's gravity heavy. We don't see the light that we emit.
Precisely.
Everything
but they see us.
Light. Yeah, exactly. And one of the funny things that I've learned over the years, watching people and listening to them talk, is that it is immensely important to think of yourself as light. Okay.
Absolutely.
That's
Because
the
that's what we
thing
are.
people think about themselves, is that they're absolutely light. And the third dimension, we perceive time here because we're locked into a gravity heavy space. So things move incrementally for us. And the light that we see is very slow here. It's not moving at the rate that it should while we're in this gravity well that we're in. Outside of the third dimension, when you become a dimensional, when you start seeing everything dimensional around you, you realize that that light is always there.
Yes.
Like you said, okay, and that there is no time, and that all the information is there on top of everything all at one time. Everybody who lives a dimensional existence like we do absolutely can see what we're not thinking about right now, and that is there is no time. They see everything we've done and everything we're going to do simultaneously at the same time. So when you say the iterations of us, it literally means you 200 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, however long, infinitum, all the way back. And then you casting into the future as well. We have the ability to perceive that. We have it, but we're not using it.
That's so hard to wrap your head around, though.
It is. It's a mind blower. But this is what quantum hypnosis is about, because we do this process. It's very easy. Everybody who comes gets to learn how to do it for themselves. That's my big thing, is I want to teach people how to do what I'm helping them with, so that they can go off and do it for themselves or teach someone else. But when we can get relaxed in a high vibrational state and get our hearts and our minds coherent, then all of a sudden the big cosmic satellite dish in the head, the pineal gland, is activated. It opens up and we are streaming whatever we want. Because, you called it the Akashic record a while ago, Preston. We can call it the mind of God or the cosmic mind, but the quantum field that's all it is. It's just the container for everything that ever was, is, or will be, and it all exists in one spot. But human brains is just so hard. It gives me a headache to try to think about that in the exploded view, right?
Well, so one of the reasons is our pineal gland is not wide open in this like it should be. We're not transmitting to our physical mind from our consciousness, and our physical mind gets confused. It's hard to get past the physical mind being barriered in the skull. It doesn't see past that. And consciousness, when it's in direct contact with the physical mind, you end up being wide awake at that point. People talk about being unconscious. You're never unconscious. You're in contact with your consciousness. Your physical mind is not in communication with it. And that's what everybody needs to strive for. There is no unconsciousness. You're either awake or you're not. And we need to work toward that. Everybody needs to work toward that.
Yeah, I think that's my purpose in life, is to teach people how to do it. And you can do it, and it's not hard. And the more you do it, the more powerful it becomes. And it's a beautiful state to be in. It really is. But this is what yogis and shaman and priests and all that, the ones who are pure, have been trying to teach for eons. And basically, I think it's technology that was brought here by our star ancestors. We didn't invent this stuff. We didn't create. We're the creator, but I think all of these modalities that I teach, for instance, and put all together as kind of a process to get there, to activate that pineal gland and get it really strong, they are pre-human. But the technology is like, your mind, you mentioned the mind. The human mind is like a flash drive in the operating system of this spacesuit.
Operating system in your head. That's right.
Yeah. Right. And your higher self, the cosmic mind, the quantum field, is the cloud. It contains everything. So how do you get to the cloud? You start practicing, what search engine do I use and what search words are the best to access?
Already there. One of the things that I learned from ET when I was growing up is the mechanics of conceiving and becoming human in this body are interesting as all get out. One of them is that in conception, your consciousness is part of that equation, and it actually dials up your own DNA to you. In other words, it's part of that process. The egg and the sperm have DNA from your parents in there, but it alters it slightly, and it's already programming you during that process of coming into, reality, physical reality. The baby is conscious, and it's capable of understanding what the parents are saying outside of the body.
Absolutely.
And it's already communicating back and forth with the mother. I know this because I communicated with my daughter the entire time.
Me too.
And it is amazing to me that you want to know what I wish would happen, honestly and truly? This is my greatest wish. I wish all the media companies would open one channel worldwide and allow the truth to come out, where we all go to learn all of this, empirically learn all of this, so that it's taught daily. Like there's PBS. Why can't there be Psychic S or whatever you want to?
That would be amazing.
I think we're working our way toward that.
Yeah,
I hope so.
We really are.
Podcast right here.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. This is what you're doing. You're part of that Psychic X. But I do know that that's true. I'm a mother of two, and I did this stuff, from the moment I knew I was pregnant. And my two sons, they knew language, they knew music, they knew all kinds of things, math, everything, from as early as they could, start to express. But, they knew my voice and they knew their father's voice at birth. So we know this, but this consciousness is it's kind of like a motherboard. The fetus is like a little motherboard with the DNA and everything, but to come back to what you're saying, but when the consciousness comes in and starts to
programming, it's
literally soldering all of those wires together. It's making the connections in a very specific way. So you have these components that came from your mother and your father and your ancestors, but that's not what makes you you. What makes you is you coming in and informing all of that and molding it into a new thing.
Literal pilot.
You are the only you.
You are the only you.
So
right.
Cool. And you said something super interesting a while back, that we had teachers going way back in time, that this wisdom was brought to us. Patanjali is one I would point to, the founder of the Yoga Sutras.
Yes.
And if you follow that back, and this is in every culture, every indigenous culture.
Every single culture.
It talks about wise teachers coming from above, probably ETs, who are teaching us what you might term spiritual technology. I suppose that would be as accurate way as any.
That's what I call it. That's what I've always called yoga, a spiritual technology, but really all of it that we're talking about is spiritual technology. And it comes from way beyond human earth life, especially third dimensional human earth
got
life.
hidden down throughout the Middle Ages. There were secret schools that
the mystery schools.
Talk about it. Yeah,
it's encrypted information. I mean, think about it. It's just so. You're talking my language right now. This is why I wanted to be an archaeologist. One of
the things that struck me profoundly, it hit me really, really hard, was when I woke up to the fact that I had been told this many, many times, but one day the light bulb went off. When I was told by Mama, my ET contact, that we are your progenitors.
Yes. Yeah.
And I couldn't put the building blocks to that together all the way until I became an adult. And it hit me profoundly. Okay, we are all related. We are all in this together. We all know each of us know each other, profoundly know. We all have the same DNA, and that is an absolute truth. There's no doubt in my mind. I've seen the truth of it. I've seen the proof of it. We are all connected 100%. They're
absolutely.
We're all one. And accepting that is a huge, huge, huge step forward in our development, because we can progress into the knowledge that we're not alone. We do have help. it's available right now. You know, it doesn't have to be come and given to us. We can seek it out ourselves. And
we have it within us.
Right. And that was immense for me. I mean, it grounded me. I had to sit down for a day. It's immense to think about that, you know?
It is immense. But this is why, you know, at the end of every show, workshop, class, conversation, basically, that I have with people, I use the old Mayan salutation in Lakesh. In Lakesh, the Mayan people who say they came from people from the stars, the Pleiades actually, in Lakesh means in their language, I am another you. And so it was given to them as a means of creating peace when they were, you know, wandering through, at least this is what my shaman teacher told me, they're wandering through the forest and they see a rival tribe coming. Instead of having a war, they both greet each other and say, in Lakesh, I'm another you. They recognize, I am connected to you. You're part of me. I'm part of you. We don't harm each other.
We need to teach that in school.
Yeah, no kidding. How about it?
I actually kind of do that when I'm driving in LA. I spent a lot of time in LA. I'm not in LA right now, but I'd be driving down the road and people are cutting you off and tailgating you and running red lights. I always look at that person like, well, what if that was my brother? You know, because I have 3 older brothers. I love them all, 2 sisters. It's like, what if that was my sister? What if this was my best friend? And that's how I would look at it. I'm like, okay, shame on you, but I still love you.
Yeah. Or that person cut you off and it makes you angry, but maybe they just got word that their mother was in a car wreck and she's been taken to the hospital and they're not thinking clearly. They're just trying to get there. We don't know, but we can look at another person and think, you know, that old adage, there if not for the grace of God go I, right? They are another you. There is only one consciousness in the universe, and it's you and all the reflections of you, whether you like the reflections or not.
Nurses learn this. It's a form of, it's the one type of empathy that is employable, you know, because you can become one with other people, and you are one when you're, especially when you're trying to help them and be part of that rescue, you know. We're here to rescue one another. We're here to help one another. We're not here to condemn. We're not here to judge. We're not here to hate. We're not here to find differences with one another at all. We're here to rescue one another and help one another.
Work with each other.
That is employable empathy. I can have empathy all day long, but until I employ that empathy, I'm doing nothing good for anything.
You're treading water. One of your listeners, KD, said she wanted to thank us for talking about in Lakesh, and she wanted to know, is it spelled with an I or an E? I've seen it spelled both ways. I usually spell it with an I, but it doesn't matter because it's usually, you know, it's spoken, it's a greeting, but if you ever see it in the Mayan language, it's in, what do they call those? The Mayan language, it's like pictographs.
Yeah.
They're little like runes, right? So, and I can't draw it here. So, but you can spell it either way.
Yeah, they've spoken.
Ho'oponopono. Ho'oponopono is an ancient Hawaiian form of clearing the air between people. It's a forgiveness ritual. Ho'oponopono, when it's translated, is, let me paraphrase, but it's, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And you say it over and over again. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Even if you don't know that you did anything wrong, if you have a conflict with someone, if you practice Ho'oponopono in that way, and you just keep chanting, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. It eats away at the animosity between you, even if you don't know what's wrong. And often it will open up an avenue for peace between people.
Right.
It's a very sacred practice.
Yep.
Very cool.
I want to bring something up to you. One of the things that I learned from ET is that how they handle when you make a wrong move emotionally, societally.
Yes, we all do.
Of course.
Correctly, you know, even an offense. And their ways are this: they immediately go dark on you. They go silent. You stop hearing them talk to you. And that grabs your attention faster than anything, because suddenly now there's this void in communication.
Yeah.
And I would look, what did I do?
Mm-hmm.
Immediately the message that came to me was, you must search yourself first, because you cannot deal with this until you know yourself, because we stopped talking to you, that something is wrong, and you have to backtrack in your mind. You have to go back through what you just did and work that out. And once you do, then you have to act accordingly. And the first time I did something, I made a comment that was very sarcastic in my head and not polite at all. And Mama went totally dark on me. I was very young. And when I realized what I'd done, that I tripped all over my tongue and that I was angry when I said it, okay, I said it sarcastically. It was something that I had learned from real life, being amongst other people, okay?
Sure, yeah. Indoctrination, patterning, right.
And when I realized it, I thought, oh no, how did I had to ask myself, what did I do to this person with that comment? Because it's not just that person, it's about the other one that I was being sarcastic about too. I was offending people at once, and realized in that moment they both could hear me, both. And I had to make amends. And what you were saying about Boko Ono, or whatever, how it is said.
Ho'oponopono, yeah, I know, it's a mouthful.
I had to say I was sorry. I had to be genuinely realize that what I did was a serious offense. I was walking on people that I had no right in judgment to walk on, because of how I felt, and it restricted me to how I'm reacting, not what how they were. I was reacting to them, not the other way around. And I genuinely had to apologize, and I had to figure out, how do I make amends for this as well? It was tough. Okay. And once I did that, the conversations began again. Everybody.
Yeah. The channel opens up again.
Right?
Because you're in the right frequency. Because when you're angry or resentful or even snarky, it brings your energy down, and then you can't communicate with something so high.
Exactly.
Miss Erotica says Ho'oponopono brings quantum healing for past, present, and future generations. It absolutely does. It's not just about you and this person. It's retroactive, behind you, in front of you, and all dimensions.
Your DNA, by the way, your DNA is what's damaged when you have wrong ideas, and you're healing the DNA. So your DNA goes forward into the future, and you're healing that DNA along with it. Your consciousness is already employing the wisdom of that, and it's a leveler of everything. It fixes everything, you know.
And then it eventually crystallizes as it slows down and comes back into this dimensional form.
I know what's interesting about all of this is very much what near-death experiencers have been told from the other side. Channelers, well, as you would know,
really is.
Having done channeling, but Native American elders, their whole system, like Dolly's talking how the ETs dealt with people who are being incongruent. I don't know however you want to put it. But
out of alignment, out of integrity. Yeah.
So that's the way we should maybe that should be our way of dealing with people
who
are
our highest goals,
doing wrong, instead of putting them in a cage. Which that's not going to help.
No.
I understand.
You know, when you think about ancient cultures, maybe you've seen these stories before, and even some indigenous cultures now, like down in the Amazon, if someone goes rogue and turns, like a thief or a murderer or whatever, the whole village surrounds them in a circle and sends love to them and asks questions. When did you stop dancing? When did you stop singing? When did you stop loving? And it's like a group therapy, but they're constantly sending love because they realize no one does something incongruent from their soul unless they're in pain, lack, or fear. And they start to heal by asking these questions and having them answered, instead of locking them away in a cage or putting them in the electric chair or whatever. They give love and they give support, and they rehabilitate that way. They bring them back up in their vibrational state and show them a different way, which is completely not what we do here.
It's funny. I heard that it costs like $100,000 to imprison someone for a year. What if you just gave them $50,000? each year. They could live on that instead of
and support. Yeah,
right.
Even like the old halfway house kind of idea, a group home maybe for a while or something, but where they could get support and where they could get training to do what is that missing piece. That's how we should be doing it. And I'm telling you, I think I know it's going to happen. This is what the teachers keep telling us. Everything looks like it's just going to hell in a handbasket right now, but it has to break apart into a million pieces before this can come through. But as it's breaking apart, people are asking themselves, I'm sure you are too, how can I make this better? Or how could we fix this? So we're all starting to get those downloads. And we have been being upgraded energetically for a long time.
That's why we're here.
And that's why we're here. And we're here to hold that energy. And we're here to hold that focus. And so I tell people, it's not a popular thing. And I get taken down a lot of pegs for saying it. But if you find someone despicable, spend more time sending them love than you send to like your best friend.
Yeah.
Right. Send them love, send them support energetically to heal whatever needs to be healed in them. No one acts like that unless there's healing.
Carlos Castaneda talked about that. He called it a petty tyrant. A petty tyrant can be your greatest teacher. Someone who's absolutely really difficult can teach you all kinds of things.
Yeah.
We have to take a quick station ID break.
All right, while you do that, I'm going to run. I'll be
Hello, everyone. Just want to thank you again for joining us on episode 85 of The Light Gate. I'm your host, Preston Dennett. My lovely co-host, who has popped off screen, Dolly Saffron. And our guest tonight is the wonderful, beautiful, irrepressible, dangerously defensive and strong. I just love that you can do martial arts. I'm just a fan.
I can.
Debz Shakti. That's so cool.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
yeah, we are airing live on several platforms. We are on the United Public Radio Network. Let me get that correct. We are broadcasting live on as the ticker says, the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 107.7 FM and 105.3 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans. We are on Roku. Check that out if you have Roku. We are on Rumble. We are on YouTube. We are on Facebook. So there's plenty of places to reach us. If you're not catching the show live, you can absolutely catch it in the archives. We want to give a huge shout out to Carnation. It's Carnation Monday. We absolutely adore you and thank you so much for your support. We truly appreciate it. Thank you guys for all these wonderful questions in chat. We're going to get to them shortly. There's some really good ones, Debz.
I know.
Right into them.
I keep looking over there at them to try to see if I can type an answer, but if we get in this conversation, I don't have time to type
I'm putting stars next to them, so no worries. Because I love doing the Q&A. We're going to be doing a Q&A episode upcoming on December 23rd, I think it is. So that's coming up soon. Always hugely popular. But now that we have you here, we've got a bunch of people asking all kinds of wonderful questions. So we'll dive into that in just a second. But I did want to ask you one question because I mentioned it and then you mentioned it, and that's the Akashic Library, the Akashic Plane.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that? Because Dolly talks about having had the opportunity to read an ET book.
Yes.
Which basically we all have one in the Akashic Library.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives, she described how it gave spiritual wisdom and aphorisms and was very personal in general. I was wondering, what are your thoughts on that? Have you ever had that opportunity?
Yes. Yes, it's incredible. I actually, in a personal, with another practitioner, I did a QHT with a practitioner who had, she's very high level. And I was going for a health situation. I wanted to find out, what was going on with this health situation. Well, immediately when I got in there, I went to the Akashic Records, to the library, and I was a person who was only known by the label of brother. I was male, and I had kind of a robe, no features, and brother was an archivist, but also a collector of the information and would bring it back and archive it in the Akashic Library. And so he spent half his time out in the universes, gathering information, as he put it, and then archiving it when he came back. And he could go anywhere. And so she was very interested, and she was asking questions about it. And she's like, well, do I have a book there? And he said, of course you do. But your book is connected to infinite other books because we're all connected. So, but the one that's uniquely for you, written by you and written for you in the form that you are inhabiting right now, exists here. And you can come in and check it out anytime. Or if you are in a place where you're unaware that it even exists, you get that information. We kind of funnel it down to you, or your guides do. And you call that inspiration, or you call it dreams, or you call it a good idea, or you call it, a deja vu. But as far as the ET books, the alien books, yes. Like I said, mine, I'm more aware of mine not as a physical book that I've held, but it comes, this is so weird. It's like that, what I was showing you in my background. It kind of comes from a tunnel like that, right through here, usually right before I wake up in the morning or when I'm deep in meditation. And it's this infinitely, it's like faster than light speed, doctrine that's coming, and it's in symbols, but I can't slow it down enough to see the symbols. But I recognize it and I understand it. It's like when I come out of that state, I have new information, and I know, and I can feel it. It's alive. It's their living consciousness, these symbols from that book, and they're moving around literally in my body, and it's a very visceral, not just an energetic thing. And I don't know, Dolly, now that you're back, I don't know that if you have that experience with your book, with those, symbols or words or whatever is contained in there. But when you're interacting with it, it's literally living consciousness working with you.
Exactly. My physical book is with ET. It's onboard craft.
I kind of went off on a track there, but yeah.
No, that was beautiful.
The Akashic Library does exist.
Yeah, it does exist. It's connected to that. They have a way of making that connection in a physical book. And I used it it was one of my teachers for things that I needed to know. And I was given explicit reason to understand that it knew what I needed, and it would give me what I need. But when I'm off craft, like I am now, I can download from it. I can go in my mind. I can remote to it, or I can remote to the actual Akashic Library on the other side. And I have questions, and you're right. It comes as a bloody download, and it's almost all at one time, and you have to sit and ferret through it,
Right. You have to integrate.
Yeah. And that might take a day, but it's amazing. I've actually OBE'd to the actual Akashic Library, and I've found that I created a space for myself to be there. I don't know if anybody has ever seen this or knows about it. I found a tree in the library, and it's got jewels all over it. Instead of leaves, it's jewels, big jewels. And so I would just park myself down at the bottom of the tree and just sit there and read, anything I wanted to read in the library. And you're right, it is attached to everything else. Your personal book is your personal book, but we're all connected, so you can actually experience other people through the Akashic Library as well. If you don't understand, if you're learning about somebody and you want to know more about them, you can go there and do that. The amazing information is incredible, and it would take you forever to go through the whole. I mean, you've got forever anyway, but it's like it's always new. Something's new, and there are layers to understanding things, and it's really cool to get through a layer and a layer and a layer and a layer, and then you sit there and think about it for a while, and you go, wow, and then you ask for more. It's the never-ending story of stories. You can do anything through that, learning from that. Yeah, it's awesome. And I wish everybody could access it right now. You'd be astounded, literally.
Everybody can. Just meditate. That's the whole trick to all of this.
That's it.
Relax.
Yep.
That's it. You mentioned that tree in the library, and I believe that is the cosmic tree of life. And it's so funny because where I do a lot of retreats up in Wisconsin with my friend, the owner of the resort, the lake resort there, Melissa Kane, she started a nonprofit called CosmicTreeOfLife.com. And there's a huge mural in the big gathering place, the big building where we do our practices and we do our teachings and everything. And this mural has a giant tree. And the thing that it just struck me is you said, and there are jewels on the tree. Well, when this artist up there, this beautiful artist, drew this tree and drew this scene on the back wall, Melissa's two twin girls came in with a bag of kind of pretty crystal jewels that are stick-on, and they pressed those jewels on every twig and branch of that tree.
That's cool. Yeah.
Wow.
And I always thought it was pretty, but to hear you describe that, and that's exactly what it looks like.
That's what's in the library. It's there. You can sit under it anytime you want. Just walk in the door and say, "Hey, where's the tree?" And you will see it.
It's so awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. And it's my favorite spot. I will go plant myself at the base of that tree.
Do we have questions, Preston, that you wanted to get to?
Yeah. All right. Sure. Let's get to some questions. There's some really good ones. Okay. We'll go in order, and Fab22 had an interesting question. Hoping we'll also address the topic on the not so positive side of hypnotic regression in regards to, quote, abduction. And put that in quotes, and I think that's an important thing to do because a lot of experiencers don't like that word. Some do, absolutely feel like this was an involuntary experience for them. And I think there should be, people should be warned about the effects of hypnotic regression because it can open up a lot of things.
A can of worms.
Can of worms.
Exactly.
So how would you address that question?
Well, the way I address it is first of all, I want everybody to know when you work with me, I take everyone at their word. I take them at face value. Even the skeptics who come in and are trying to prank me just to catch me and, prove that it doesn't work, there's something in them that always comes out. It's the funniest thing. Often they're the ones who have the most mind-blowing things that they didn't expect. And when you are coming from a place of maybe a narrow band of belief or feelings, when you go in there and you do open this Pandora's box, it can be a lot to unpack. And that's why it's important that you work with somebody who does have, more than just the education about how to hypnotize you, but how to do the counseling along with it and the support. Because if you don't, it can be a roller coaster ride that is very, confusing and, can cause more harm than good. You have to be with someone who is really qualified. And I think it's even more helpful to be with someone who is qualified and then also is an experiencer themselves.
Yeah.
Because,
I would also add that, to be warned that when you go under hypnosis and you're opening all these doors to things you've repressed, some of this is going to be trauma because you have to deal with all that fear that you were repressing. And this is what I think can be a real wake-up call for people. It's like suddenly, what have I done? Because now they're dealing with all this stuff that they have absolutely shoved aside. That's very difficult to deal with.
Right.
That's why it's
right. So again,
right?
Yeah, again, you need to work with somebody who can be properly supportive in that way. But I will say, at least in my sessions, people don't. I mean, yes, you're going to come up against traumatic experiences and things that are coming at you from left field that you didn't expect. It might be or it might be scary, it might be, horrifying or whatever. But you're given cues all along the way to be the observer and to know that you're watching it. It's not happening to you right now.
Right. You're putting them in the safe place. In other words, it's not happening to you now. That's exactly right. A very experienced hypnotist will know to help you be in the safe place.
Yes.
You're looking at it. You're not there. You're just looking at it. You're seeing it, feeling it, and hearing it, but you're not there. Nothing can touch you in that moment. That's the most important part of that. Completely.
It's very, very important. And it's something, that's rule number one for me. That is priority one, is ensuring your well-being throughout the whole process, and not just the session, but from then on. I invite people to continue to interact with me and ask questions, tell me if they're having any, weird dreams or they don't understand something, because it starts to unfold. You're just opening a box of stuff and it continues to bloom. But so you can turn all of that into a positive, because it's all about you growing and expanding in your consciousness.
It's incredibly therapeutic, and this is why people do it.
It really is.
Because it moves you along the path if you're stuck.
It really is. And I have had, this is the juice that keeps me so excited about this work, is there are so many breakthroughs that happen. So many breakthroughs. And it's just very gratifying to be able to walk with these people in these situations. Does it happen spontaneously in a one little session? Often no. But for the most part, the big stuff gets dealt with quickly and appropriately, so that you can start to unpeel those layers of the onion without being too scared to go back in there.
Right. Which is so important, because like I said, you might have to deal with the fear first, but the real good stuff is right there. It's right there.
It is.
Keep working through it. Fear is such a big part of
everything you want is right on the other side of your fear. It's right on the other side of your fear. Yeah. So.
All right. Here's another question, which I keep getting asked this. So I'm kind of glad Michael brought it up. It's current events.
I knew it was going to come up today.
Everyone is wondering about these craft, aka drones, UAPs, blah blah blah, being seen worldwide. What are they? What is going on? Any insight from the guest or the hosts? Okay, who wants to start? I got my opinions about it.
I don't mind starting. I'll just be real honest with you guys. I bet probably 20, 30 people just today, sent me more videos of the quote unquote drones in New Jersey and so forth, and saying, what do you think? What are you getting from this? And I'm like, you know what? I'm not there. So I'm not physically there interacting. I always know, because I can feel. There's a feeling state that I get. It's almost like a little mini Kundalini spiral that goes up my spine, and my mind starts to light up right before I have an encounter or during an encounter. And then there are things that look absolutely not like something we've made, and they're not on any of the apps that I'm using to track flight or satellites or whatever, but I don't get a feeling. And so either they're not in my frequency range, which means it's probably not for me, or they're human made. So
That's what I think.
I think some of them are human made, but I'm telling you guys, right now, it's starting to ramp up. And it's not that there are more craft in the skies than ever before. They've always been there, but people's vibrational state are starting to become resonant. Their minds are starting to open, and so they can perceive them. That's what we were talking about at the first of the show. if you're in a certain frequency, you perceive, right?
I honestly think the vast majority of these, if not all of them, are government. I think this is part of a false flag.
I think it's part of Project Blue Beam or whatever you want to call it,
really
to get us in fear.
There's
right?
so much, and the fact that all of this is suddenly appearing right after these congressional, well, during. I mean, come on. It seems very
It's laughable. Part of it's kind of almost laughable if it wasn't, that it can do so much harm. But the question I want to ask all of you and you guys here is, if it was truly something that wasn't, from the stars, if it wasn't man-made, don't you think that we'd have Air Force and Space Force and all that going around these planes investigating? Yeah, they say the FBI is investigating. I haven't seen any FBI footage. Have you? Like people FBI doing anything? I haven't seen any planes or helicopters.
It's man-made, all of it. We're about to go to war, and every country on this planet has drones, and some of them are fantastically new and are capable of doing things you've never seen. And they are vehicles that you've never seen. They're coming out. For the last whatever of my life, I have witnessed this coming up. I have witnessed soldiers going into battle labs and learning how to fly these things remotely. It is a part of every single one of our military's objectives. I've lived near the base where the drones park, some of them. We are about to go to World War III. And one of the things that is happening is they're going to use anything and everything to keep you from knowing what their total agenda is. And it's serious. And one of the things that ET has been begging for the last 50 years, everybody needs to wake up now. It's time. Because there are people who are operating on this planet against the truth and us knowing what the truth is. And there are a myriad of reasons. And if you were ever to really understand what they are, you would be of the same opinion as a lot of people like me who believe that it is now time for us to tell them to stop. Because they're planning something pretty big, and there are reasons why. And because people are not educated like they should be and have not been for quite some time and don't have the scientific backgrounds to understand what's really going on around them in our galaxy and our solar system right now, know that we're in a cycle, and it is culminating right now. And everybody's got to remember that you all are psychic enough to know to feel it, to check yourself right now, everybody in the sound of my voice, and ask yourself two important questions. One, do you feel like something's coming? If you do, and you're like anxious and have anxiety about it, you need to ask yourself why you feel that way. Start doing your homework. We live in a society where we are like sent through chutes like cattle and sheep to go for, things to happen to us, And we're worked with in a way where we react to what they tell us. And the governments and the media have unbelievable control over the minds of the people in not only our country, but around the world. They're all sent right now into a panic, anarchy thinking. And you got to ask yourself, why? Why is this happening? Once you start making firm connections to what those answers are, you know what you have to do after that. And that is, we all need to make them stop. We need to tell them that we know what's going on once you figure it out, and that you're not going to abide by it anymore. You need to stop now, because that's the only chance we really have on this planet right now, is to make that shift that you all talk about, a shift in consciousness. All of our consciousness, all of us have to, all at the same time, be willing to communicate to one another in the best way possible what's really happening, and then not take control of it, but disallow the control to continue. Okay.
Because probably almost everybody listened to this, who's on this, who listens to your show, they're in a frequency where they already have disclosure. They know, they've either experienced or they've heard enough that they're pretty sure. We don't need to wait for these bigwigs who will never own up to most of it, because it's, it will topple their paradigm. But what I want to say is, despite all the crazy stuff that they're doing, amazing things are happening. Right. And organically, just this week, you guys, just this week, and I don't watch the news, but I have, from other sources, learned that 3 major countries deposed their tyrannical leaders. South Korea, for one, the whole country went on strike, just like Gandhi used to, and deposed the person who was, kind of trying to take over in a wrong way, their country.
He's actually still in power. They're trying. He's still in power now.
I thought he was deposed.
Nope.
And then then Bashar, I can't remember his name, Ahmed or whatever, in Syria.
Yes, Syria. That is.
And then France.
Yeah, France.
So something is happening.
People are waking up.
And people are waking up, but they're learning that you do it in the way that some of these avatars who came before us have been trying to teach us for a long time.
We do have
power. You do it by combining your internal power, but you don't do it by going to war with them. You do it by combining your love and your minds to work out a better solution.
Right. And I think it's happening. And then we join together, and we can work miracles like this.
Yeah.
Okay, but the questions, because some of these
go ahead. Yes.
This.
Go ahead. Yeah.
At least I thought so, but there's still quite a few of them, and we've only got 20 so minutes.
Oh my gosh, time goes by so fast on this show.
Yeah, that's what I love about doing this show. And this is from Peak. This is to Dolly, but I'm guessing, Debz, that you could probably have something to say about this. And the question, Dolly, is there like a machine that the ETs use to quickly create disposable clothes, utensils, etc.? How do they do this? It's funny because you have talked about this.
With their hands, just so you know, like Japanese people do. They if they have a utensil, it's one that's easily recycled or disposed of in a very clean way. A lot of, we came up in India, they came up with utensils that you can eat. And
he's made out of mushrooms.
Yeah. ET sort of has something like that. They can eat whatever you're scooping your food with or poking it with. The clothes are totally 100% recyclable, and they do recycle them. And it's not necessarily a machine in that you think about it. They do use a lot of natural fibers, but easily recycled fibers. They do loom things and stuff like that. And what I wear on board is a piece that it's in 2 halves with the head hole in it. Mm-hmm. And it comes over my head, and it drapes down over me, and then heat binds it together at the seams. To take it off, I have to rip it off my body. We only use one at a time. They don't do laundry. It's totally recycled after that. Food is organic for them. They only bring what they're going to use on board craft. They usually eat on their own home worlds, or they have a few big Dyson sphere type or mothercraft that they have. They bring food to. They do not do anything that they will not pollute. We talk about not leaving a carbon footprint. That's not exactly a good way to think about things, because your existence is a carbon footprint. You're going to, everything about you is carbon. You're going to leave your carbon everywhere. But what you don't want to do is leave garbage. Okay.
Right.
You want to be able to reuse, recycle, everything that you have. No disposing of anything. You're going to use it or reuse it or recycle it. And I've got stuff in where I live that I've had for 50 years because I still use it. I take care of it, and what I try to go to more sustainable things, more sustainable materials. If I do collect something that needs to be recycled, I make it to a recycling place with it, that kind of thing. I collect glass. I don't like plastic, although I have some, but it's old. Ancient. It doesn't have PCBs in it or whatever, but I'm very careful with this stuff. I try to use natural things, things that aren't going to the type of soap I use and things like that. ET's exactly the same way. I learned it best from them. You don't use anything that is going to harm your environment or cause pollution in the manufacture of it. Okay. That's the most important thing. It all begins in the manufacturing process. And if you're going to create things that leave waste, you're doing it wrong. And it's
right.
Have you seen this too, Debz?
I have, and I wanted to add to that, as an ultra marathoner, which usually that happens on trails, and I'm a big hiker, camper, all of that. The number one mantra is leave no trace. Leave no trace, right? So it's not, watch your carbon footprint, because as you said, we're all carbon based, but leave a place better than you found it, right?
Exactly.
And when I mentioned the secret school, which is Whitley Strieber's name for the educational process that I went through as a child on these craft with my brother, much of what the secret school was about was preparing us to take care of this planet and to take it back from the people who are just so thoughtlessly ignorant about what they do every single moment of every day to destroy it. And so I have always been an eco-activist. In fact, I lived off grid for many years as a young adult, and I hope to again. And I do my very, very best. I grow most of my own food. Even in an urban setting, like you, recycle everything that I can. And so it's just something that the ETs have really just imprinted on my heart and the hearts of so many experiencers that I've worked with. That's kind of, again, it's just a big call to action. This is a jewel of a place and we must take care of it. If we don't, the stuff we do with each other, fighting wars or trying to make peace, it's pointless.
Right. It also disrupts your abilities.
Brings your vibrational state down.
It also pollutes your pineal gland. Fluoride alone is responsible for calcifying everybody's
and the microplastics,
in our bodies, everything. The genetic tampering they do with us is incredible. And we have to understand that you can't live forever here. It's impossible. Yeah. You can't build a trap.
That's what I was just thinking.
Yeah. Who wants to? This is just one experience.
It's one experience. You're going to move on and do others. Yeah. And we need to understand that the fear factors that people have to stay whole and perfect and beautiful for their entire lives. Ooh, it is like you don't know what you're doing to yourself. You don't know what you're putting yourself with. You don't know what harm you're actually causing yourself because you're not evolving when you do this. You actually are backtracking somewhat, and this is where karma starts to gear up and on you, and you need to learn it before you leave here. That's why you came here, to learn avoidance of doing things that are harmful, period. Yes. Harmful. And that's,
if you harm someone else, you're harming yourself. Honestly.
I agree.
Okay, let's move to the next question. This is from Peak again. Question to anyone. What are the most annoying, and they are annoying, common inaccuracies you see when it comes to visuals of ET's craft and popular culture? And I'll just jump in real quick.
Yeah, do it.
The most annoying one is when you see all these protrusions and stuff coming out, because ET craft, genuinely described, are gorgeous, beautiful, flawless,
seamless. Yeah,
they're beautiful, one piece designs. Not all these weird little because you see this all over Facebook and the internet. Like, look at this craft that came over. I'm like, that's not a craft. That's
AI or Hollywood. Yeah. That's Hollywood's depiction. You go back to the Star Wars movies where it's all, all of these hydraulics and stuff and rivets and except that I will say that mothership looked like the one I saw when I was a kid.
It's such a good movie. They did a really good job.
It didn't have, the one that I saw didn't have all those spires, but the lights, but it was like you described, one piece of beautiful art. That's all.
Yes.
And it was conscious.
Yes.
Conscious. These craft are conscious.
Very good point.
Craft Talata is a very large craft. Okay, he's more than what most people see, and he is sculpted looking. He looks very Egyptian, as a matter of fact, whatever angle you're looking at, an Egyptian curve to him. But he's perfectly, when you get up close to him, you can see that he's almost looks like glass. The only time he looks differently is when he arrays so that you can understand what you're looking at. Okay. And then he'll array what looks like a window, or he'll array what looks like a star pattern on him, or he'll array, I mean, he'll do things. The only time that you ever see him do anything that's constructive in where the craft actually will open up for something is on the ends of him. He has, he comes down to a point on the ends, okay? You know, like this.
Sure,
like,
yeah.
Okay, and it will open up and you'll see an opening and he can eject drones out, those two. We call them hooks. They're not really hooks, so it's just openings. They open like this and you'll see drones eject out. They also use it, and this is funny to me, that people have actually seen this, not knowing what they're looking at. Sometimes a mothership can be 40 or 50 of Talata's class type ship holding on to each other and staying together, you know, and it's massive when you see it and you go, whoa, what the heck is that? It's 50 of them and they're all holding.
It's like a molecule with all the atoms. Yeah. No, I agree with you on that one.
And they'll light gate together like that. They'll just all go at the same time, and it's spectacular. Motherships, you can tell a mothership when you see one because they come into the atmosphere at night and they array purple. They got a purple glow to them. If you see a big round purple thing in the sky, think about it really hard because that's probably a mothership up there. I'm going to be honest with y'all. ET cannot fly here right now. They are not here. If you see something in the sky, please, I want you to understand that it's not them, it's us. We're getting ready to explode on everybody. They're going to fly a false flag and they're gearing up for it. And they're using every means of disinformation and misinformation to achieve their agendas with this. ET would be here right now if they could. But our sun is not okay right now. And our solar system is not okay. We're sleuthing through an electromagnetic current sheet. And it is seriously powerful, and it has messed us all up. It happens every 12,000 years in our solar system, and it's caused every single planet, including our sun, to change its poles, to reverse the polarity on them. The only one that's not doing anything is Mars, and Mars is still feeling the grind of all the energy coming at it from everybody else. Our magnetosphere is down 40%. ET won't fly here now because of that. They started crashing about 40 years ago, really bad. And it got to the point that they said, nope, we can't do it anymore. And they've bugged out. They will come back when our poles finish changing because we got a lot coming at us and they need to be here for that. And you can expect to see them. The world governments know this. They know that they are free and clear to act any bloody way they want right now. One of them is they're all going back to the moon because ET warned them off. When ET bugged out, they went, whoop, we're going back right now. It is crazy to me.
Well, this is not to say that we can't have telepathic contact with the ET either.
Yes, you can.
We do, and we have holographic visual with them.
Exactly. But they are physically not in our atmosphere and not in our solar system, and they won't be until our poles finish changing, period.
We have more questions, guys. So I'm going to start asking for shorter answers, if possible, so we can get to all of them. Some rapid fire, because I love interacting with chat. Preston, do you have any cases that deal with draconians? And I'm thinking you mean like reptilians. I get very few. I've had a couple. The ones that I do have were not actually UFO related. These were people out in the wilderness who saw them. So I think they might be better termed crypto-terrestrials. A few, I will say, have been onboard craft. And I've heard ones that are absolutely very scary and ones that are absolutely wonderful. Barbara Lamb, a very well-known researcher, talked about actually meeting one in her living room, and it was lovely.
Yeah.
So yeah, again,
I have one that's a healer friend. It's a reptilian, not a draconian. You know, they have different names, but yeah, it depends again on what frequency you're in as to which ones you're going to meet too.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right. Cool.
All right. What else do we have here? Leah is asking, may I ask if the ant people will assist us again? And do they take on light bodies to us whom they choose? I am not sure. How do I answer that one?
I think the ant people still exist. I mean, they definitely showed up for John Yost. If you see the movie, his person was an ant person. But I think the ant people that you may be asking about are the ones who helped humans survive the Ice Age, the last Ice Age.
Native Americans talk about them,
right? And the Mesoamericans, but also I think that they were around and helped people who survived the Atlantean cataclysm as well. I think they go back way back. Are they all still here? All of them are just still here. They're all still here, but are we in a frequency where we're going to be interacting with them very much? Probably not. I think
they're not dimensional with us right now. They're not in the third dimension.
Yeah, they're
around.
There's no purpose for them and us to be interacting. So, yeah.
All right.
That's just my take.
All right. Here is from Ms. Marotica. Can you, Debz, please talk about some outstanding CE5 experiences?
Ooh, yeah. Well,
that could take 2 hours.
Where do I start? Yeah, I'll give you one. I'll give you one real quick. I had a group here. This happened several years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, actually. And it was, our group was meeting. It was a very large circle. We probably had 40, 50 people. A lot of people were new. And yet there were some who were, if you know anything about making contact, human initiated contact, you have to be in that high level frequency or they're not going to come around. If there's people there who are afraid or who are in discoherence with each other, they're not going to show up. And so it was getting kind of foggy and rainy. And about the middle of the evening, we always take a little break and then we come back and reconvene. Well, at the break, about half of those people left. And they were disappointed because we hadn't had any sightings or any kind of interactions or anything. And they're like, well, it was a good try, but whatever. As soon as those people left, the ones who were left, and I was leading the group, I decided to have everybody just kind of come into coherence by standing up. It was raining by then. We went, it was at a state park. So we were underneath a big pavilion, that has those tin roofs. And I had everybody put their arms around each other and chant Om into the center of the circle. And with that tin roof, it was like a big resonator, right? So it amplified. It was beautiful. Everybody was vibrating very high. And suddenly we realized, and this was middle of summer and it was raining hard, suddenly we couldn't hear anything. We couldn't hear the rain. We couldn't hear the frogs. We couldn't hear the horses snorting down the road at the horse farm. And we looked around and you could still see everything, but we couldn't hear anything. We're like, oh, and we feel electric. We just feel electric. And we were kind of postulating what's happening. Suddenly a park ranger comes up, drives up, gets out of his vehicle, has his flashlights looking all around, looking into all of our cars, looking all around and never came over and talked to us. And we realized he couldn't see us. He thought we were all gone. He started going down a trail with the flashlight because, it was after hours and you're not supposed to go down the trail.
That's the Oz effect.
And we realized we had been taken into not just another frequency or dimension, but we were in a ship because suddenly all kinds of things started happening. We were all getting telepathic messages. Some people were vibrating. Some people were changing color. There were, it was like, I want to say music, but it wasn't music. It was just these beautiful soundscapes. And then suddenly it was over. We could hear the frogs. The rain had stopped, but we could hear outside. We could feel the breeze. And we're like, oh, we're back. And 3 hours had passed.
Mm-hmm.
3 hours. So that was fantastic. That was a fantastic experience. I will never forget it. Neither will any of the people who were there. And I'm always grateful for it. And I'm always asking for it to happen again. And it has happened a few other times with other really high level groups.
Cool.
But that's cool CE5 experience.
You're writing a book, right? You're going to write books.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. My goal was to have it finished by the end of the year, but I've had a family situation that kind of took up a lot of my time and energy. So it'll probably be, mid-January before it's finished, but it's coming out, and I can't wait for you guys to see it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. We got another one from. Did you have something you wanted to say, Dolly? Should I go to the next question?
I'm totally interested. Go, keep going.
All right. Let me see. This is from Andrew Rollins, and this is an interesting question. Why do flying saucers spin, and why do they spin in a certain direction? I have heard them rotating. They don't always, though.
They don't spin to fly. Sometimes they'll rotate to avoid hitting you with their emitters, because they'll knock the power out in your vehicle. They can burn you. They can do all kinds of things. So they'll rotate around you, and that's to keep their emitters from landing on you for any time.
And sometimes I think it's just, it depends on, we don't really see a lot of flying saucers anymore. They kind of evolve according to how we perceive things. But when I was a kid, I saw a lot of them, and they did spin, but it was more because I was in love with gyroscopes when I was a kid, and it was moving like a gyroscope. So I don't know if that was just for me. I know, like in the old 50s movies and 60s movies, sci-fi, they're all spinning and they have that hum and all that, but that's not their propulsion system. It's an accessory thing.
It might have, because you like gyroscopes, he might have arrayed so you thought you saw that. Honestly,
exactly. It was for me, I think. So, yeah.
Okay, we're running out of time real fast. So here is a nice, quick, lovely question from DD. Can one request to see a fairy and the request be granted? I'm going to say yes. Why not?
Absolutely. Come from a pure heart and know that you can't control anything. You have to come very humbly. That's how I do it, and that's how I've done it. And I think that's how the old lore says it too. Come humbly. If you have an offering to leave, do that.
I was going to say that. Give some flowers, or
be respectful. Yeah,
or
bring a little sweet or something. A rock.
I'm gonna have to look into that, because I'm sure I could find some cases.
Well, I'm pretty sure I got to see one because I was presenting music that she actually liked. You know what I'm saying? I mean, she's fascinated with it.
That works for Bigfoot as well.
Right. Oh, yes. But to go back to that story that you told at the show, when you were listening to Minstrel in the Gallery, think of that music. Jethro Tull took Baroque and Renaissance type music and old Gaelic music and things like that and put it to rock. And so they recognize that underlying theme.
Wow.
Right. He likes it, by the way. Talata likes One White Duck. He made me sing it for him every time he played it. On board.
I love Jethro Tull.
I do too. One of my favorite groups of all time.
There's a really mysterious quality to them.
Yes.
Okay. Here's a great question from Leah. How do I protect my gifted 8-year-old grandson from the daft raising? How do I connect to him?
What I do, Leah, is I always in meditation, I go into an out-of-body experience. I call it my sanctuary. You could call it the void, the cosmic field, whatever. And meet with the people that you're interested in their pure spiritual form, because everybody does still have that. And meet with them. You can talk to the person that you think is daft and say, hey, can I recommend that maybe you kind of level up a little bit? You can also talk to the child, and you do this from the heart.
Right.
If you can come into heart coherence with them and just show them, maybe a better way.
Take your child out of the situation that they're in with you. In other words, go into nature, go somewhere where you can have the long talks together, and let your child open up about what they're hearing from this person.
Yes.
You don't have to directly ask them. They'll bring it to you if you start talking about things that they're hearing, and they'll go, oh yeah, blah, 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 blah. And that gives you a chance as the parent to direct them to what and you understand that you want them to learn and how you want them to understand it. And your child is an open door. They will accept it. They will hear it. And then funny thing happens. Your child will hear both sides and decide which way they want to go. And I guarantee you, if you're the one doing it lovingly and teaching them logically and purely, truthfully, they will go toward that, not the other. They will not be.
Yeah.
I think in this case, that was a grandmother asking about a grandchild and the person, So if you're, for instance, if you're not allowed to be with that grandchild, you can always do that. That's what I was specifically saying. You can do this in out of body as well. But I agree with you. Take them into nature. Get them interested in natural stuff, because children love that, and that's a great way to open that conversation.
You can also psychically connect your grandchildren if you're working it. You can do that. Get in there that way. So it's important.
Well, we've pretty much run out of time. I'm going to just pop up one or two more space. Are we all avatars? Yes.
Of course.
Leah, are Deb and Dolly cosmically connected?
I think we all are.
So we met and we're talking to each other. I think that was for a reason. Okay. I think that all happened for a reason. I think there's synchronicities. That's a real word, and it explains a lot of real truth. And people who know something the same way are talking together. You can pick out literally what the truth of that is, and it's meant to happen. So I think running into Deb was important, and this is happening for a reason. Absolutely. Yep.
All right.
And I'm so happy.
Question, because we are out of time.
All right.
Team Ginger. It seems like when I try hard to develop my abilities, they shut down and I get nothing. I do better when I relax and don't try. I want to practice. Do you have any tips?
Answer your own bloody question.
I was just gonna say,
let it go. Just be. You will have miracles happen when you do that. Yep.
Lighten up. As a yoga teacher, I can tell you, I can stand there all day and get everybody into tree pose, which is standing on one leg, the other foot is up in the leg, and you raise your arms. And you can always tell the people who are brand new or who have a little bit of an ego attachment and want to show off, or for the teacher, they are trying so hard. And here's the whole key to it. The harder you try, the easier you fall.
That's right.
Because there's resistance there. When you're not trying to control something and you trust that everything is in alignment, it is. And you can do it. So just don't try so hard, and try not to judge what your experiences are according to what other people have said either. Yours is unique. You're getting exactly what you need when you need it. So just be grateful and enjoy it, and then watch it unfold.
Yep. Preston.
We lost Preston.
Where did you go? Oh, he had an emergency.
Okay.
On in the background, he had to dime out for a minute. Okay, so he's trying to come back. There he is. Let's bring him back on. Okay.
Kicked out.
Kicked out naturally.
But Ginger, if you want to, go to my website and look under some of the tutorials and do some of those little exercises, and that will get you into a relaxed frequency where you'll be able to have more of a pleasant experience, and you'll feel more successful.
Absolutely. Okay, so everyone, I'm going to do what Preston does. I'm going to thank everybody for being here tonight. I want to thank everybody who helped us with a donation. We love you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This goes to our paying our fees for being on the net with a provider. And so thank you. You're keeping us ongoing. It hurts the pocketbook otherwise. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Deb, thank you so much for coming. You're going to come back again, yes?
Absolutely. Anytime you guys will have me, I am here. Thank you so much. I've loved it. I love all of you. Thank you for being my great teachers tonight in Lakesh.
Okay. Preston, I'm going to let you sing us out with our call signs, and then I'll hit the in key. How's that?
Oh, okay. Gosh, I wasn't quite ready.
Here we go.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on The Light Gate, episode 85. I'm your host, Preston Dennett. My lovely co-host is Dolly Saffron. Our guest tonight has been Debz Shakti. If you didn't catch the show live, you can certainly catch it on the archives. We love you all. Thank you, as Dolly said, for the donations. I want to let you know that we are streaming live on multiple platforms, including the United Paranormal Radio Network, the United Public Radio Network. I screwed that up, Dolly. I told you. Okay. UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 FM and 107.7 FM. So yeah, United Paranormal Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network. From the beautiful city of New Orleans, we are on Roku, we are on Rumble, we are on YouTube, we are on Facebook. Huge shout out to Michelle De Roche and Amelia Pisano on the Outer Realm. We love you guys too. Check them out Wednesdays and Thursday evenings. But until next week, thank you guys all for joining us. Thank you to Carnation for being our sponsor. We love you too. We love all of you guys who support us and join us each Monday. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Namaste. See you next week.